This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hey guys, I'm back again. It's Friday morning at 9. I'm here to answer your questions. If you want to know the number, if you want to call in, it's 866-561-4292. So we should be on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. And so call in, and if you have a burning question, let's go ahead and answer it. Okay? So Alejandro from Michigan, you are first up. Do you have a question about keto?
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my phone call.
Sure.
What do you recommend for people experiencing heart palpitations on keto or intermittent fasting? I increased my magnesium, sodium, and potassium a bit, but the palpitations are still present. I don't know if I should increase them even more, or if there are other vitamins or minerals that I should be taking in addition to these. And as far as the palpitations, I feel them even more when I slouch forward or when I lay down. Perhaps you can even do a video on this as well, because it seems like a lot of people who are on keto experience them as well. So I don't know. What do you recommend?
That's a really good question. Are you doing intermittent fasting?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many cups of vegetables are you consuming?
I mean, I usually have like a salad that consists of just spinach and like an avocado. I don't really count. I just have like a big salad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Before you started doing the keto, did you do the all-American diet where you're, eating, carbs and sugar and things like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you just started the keto?
A little over a month ago.
Okay, cool. So let's just talk about that. When you do a keto, what happens is that you're really correcting something called insulin resistance, and you're actually switching your body from sugar burning to fat burning over here. And have some little fuzz on my nose. And then you have a situation where you're utilizing different nutrients, more B vitamins, and definitely more minerals and potassium, things like that. So usually palpitations, atrial fibrillation, heart arrhythmias, that's all electrical issues to the heart. And those electrical issues are controlled by minerals typically. And you're probably, because you're switching over, you're demanding more potassium. That's the first one that pops up. I would start counting the serving sizes of vegetables that or the cups of vegetables that you have, and start having more and more and more. I would also, I have something called the electrolyte powder, which gives you a lot of potassium and magnesium and these other minerals and electrolytes that go right in like a rocket ship, and do that until they go away. But here's the tricky part. When you measure these electrolytes, especially like potassium, for example, and you do a blood test, it usually comes out normal because only 2% of your body's potassium is inside the blood. 98% of it's inside the cell. So you would have to really do what's called an intracellular potassium test, which you have to know about and request that. And you might have to get a scrape of the inside of your mouth and send it off to a lab yourself, because a lot of times doctors don't look at that. That will really tell you the true findings of what's going on with your potassium. But just from what I know, I think adding more potassium would help from an electrolyte mix until they chill out, and then adding more vegetables. Now, let's say, for example, you do all that, and it still doesn't work. There's another source of palpitations, and that would be the gallbladder, and especially if you're laying on let's say your gallbladder's congested or something, you lay on one side or the other, or you lay down, the way the diaphragm is oriented to your gallbladder could cause a little bit of a congestion. And that pressure backs up into the liver, which is right connected to your heart. So if there's some congestion or bloating, it can press on the heart and create some heart issues just from that angle too. So I do know there is a connection between the gallbladder and the palpitations. So you might need to adjust what you're eating, and maybe have some help with digestion to see if it's digestive related or just an electrolyte issue. But I think I'm going to do a video on that because I think I can probably do a whole like seminar on that, but I think that's just some tips that you can focus on right now. Thanks. Hey, Crystal, you are on the air from Wake Forest, North Carolina. Go ahead, you had a question.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, great, thanks.
Good. I have recently purchased your book and I have enjoyed it. But my question today is in regard to your serving sizes or your serving size or cups for the vegetables or salad. So
Yeah.
when you say 7 to 10 cups, is that the same across the board, whether it's just salad or whatever type of vegetable, or is it specifically salad?
Good question. And I probably didn't emphasize this enough in some of the videos, but a serving size of vegetable is really 1 cup. A serving size of salad is really 2 cups. Yeah, because it's fluffier. I mean, I have a hard time getting people to consume even 7 cups of salad. So if I were to really tell them, actually you need 7 serving size, which is 14 cups, they'd probably freak out. So I'm not going to even say that. So I want to just let's go to step 1, just get a big salad in your diet. Ideally 2, maybe more. But yeah, so a serving size of vegetables is 1 cup. A serving size of salad is 2 cups. And I think, because it's just the density. I think if you start if you consume just vegetables, you probably wouldn't need as much as salad. So let's see, 5 cups of vegetables, that would be like 10. Well, no, it's actually 5 cups would be equivalent to probably the same as 10 cups of salad. So you can kind of, if you don't like vegetables, just consume more dense vegetables, and you could probably get away with, having the least amount. Salad is just easy to consume, so that's one thing. And then you can do the kale shake, of course. Now, the other thing you want to add as well is some of the fermented vegetables like sauerkraut, for example. If you did 1 cup of sauerkraut, you get a lot of benefits from the nutrients that are made from the microbes. And that's probiotics, that's lactic acid, and it's also vitamin C. I recently did analysis on my wheatgrass juice, and I was literally shocked to find out I have some serious amounts of B12 in that wheatgrass juice, which, first of all, the normal RDAs for B12 are roughly around, I think it's like 2.5 micrograms. This had like 5 point something micrograms, and I'm like, how can this be? Because there is no B12 in wheatgrass. It's produced by the friendly bacteria that was living on that wheatgrass when it was processed. So we get the benefit of these microbes making vitamins, which is awesome. So my B12, now I could say my wheatgrass has B12, but yeah, the fermented vegetables are really important. Okay, Paris, you're from California. You had a question about the keto diet, and I guess you have some nausea. Tell me about that.
Yeah, hi, doctor.
Hi.
And I love you.
Oh, thank you.
I lost like 50 pounds in the last 7 months, and I'm just really happy with the keto. But recently I'm feeling like nauseated, and I crave like lemon, and I need a lots of lemon and, apple cider. I take all those potassium electrolyte, all those things. But recently I felt like so nauseated. I'm hesitating to eat because I know that's going to happen after eating. So I don't know what should I do. And sometimes I crave like little bread. If I feel like if I have a bread, I feel better. But I don't do it anyway.
Okay.
So
first of all, do you still have a belly? Do you have any belly fat?
No.
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 Okay, good. Do you have
No.
Do you have any type of a history of eating a lot of sugary carbohydrates in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been on the keto?
7 months.
7 months. Okay. Do you do intermittent fasting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How many meals are you doing?
2 to 1. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2.
Okay. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna click it so I can just talk, and then you can hear me, but you can't say anything. If you crave lemon, that's usually choline deficiency. Choline is needed to strip off fat off the liver. I'm not saying you have a fatty liver, but it's one possibility, and that can be causing the congestion in the gallbladder. So nausea is really a gallbladder issue that could be backed up from the liver being fatty, and that's probably why you're craving the lemon. Because lemon is kind of like, it's a very sour thing that that basically will cause a nice effect on stripping off fat off the liver. It's kind of a lipotrophic, and it has choline in it, which actually, believe it or not, if you just bought choline in a powder and you mix it in a drink, you probably would benefit even more than consuming lemons, because that has direct effect on stripping off fat off the liver, and especially if you crave it. If people crave sour things, that usually are choline deficient. And choline is a great fat dissolving thing for a fatty liver, and I've seen like fast results with that of stripping off fat off the liver. Now, the other thing is that when you start doing the keto, and if you've done it for 7 months and you're losing a lot of weight, all the fat to the body has to come through the liver and come out to the gallbladder, so there could be some congestion with that. Or the need for fat in the diet is probably going down because you're using your own fat, in which case I would adjust the amount of fat that you consume to the point where all the nausea goes away, because that's really probably what's behind it. So you probably need one meal and then just a little bit of fat, and I think you'll be fine. But I do understand that nausea, because it's really has to do with here you are, you're switched over, you're eating like 1 or 2 meals a day, you're processing a lot of fats, you're running on fats, and you have to have a really good gallbladder to process all of this thing. So it's kind of a new thing, or else it kind of backs up and you feel kind of funky. So you want to increase your vegetables, increase the acidifiers, apple cider vinegar, the choline, kale shakes, less fat, and maybe do some acupressure to the gallbladder, maybe even the gallbladder formula. I think that's going to handle it. And then if that still doesn't handle it, go get an ultrasound of the liver to see if there is a fatty liver, and a scan. They can scan right over the gallbladder to see what's going on, and I would kind of investigate that. All right? Great question. You gave me another idea for a video. All right. Hey, Laura, you're from New York. You had a question about bladder infections?
Yes, I do. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing with so many people. You have such a gift.
Oh, thanks.
I'm 62. I'm 62 years old, and I have repeatedly have bladder infections, and I'm very clean. And it's kind of complicated by the fact that I find that citrus aggravates this rather than what most people think makes it better. And I don't really know what to do.
Okay. Have you been doing keto intermittent fasting?
No, I don't. I have to say I've kind of just started with your program, okay. And I'm taking the, a lot of your pills. I'm taking the adrenals, and I've started with that.
Okay,
and
cool.
The wheatgrass I also take.
Okay, great. Now, here's the next question. Do you know for a fact that you have a bladder infection because you tested it and you have high white blood cells, or are you just having some of the symptoms?
No, I'm having a urine culture that's telling me I have an infection and I need the antibiotic, and then I take it and I get retested, and I never get a totally clear result, but the infection is basically gone, and I take probiotics, and I don't know what else to do.
Have you had a lot of UTIs in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
I had them when I was very young, and then I stopped, and now I'm getting them much more frequently, and I was even hospitalized once for it because they couldn't get the infection under control.
Okay.
But that was a couple of years ago. But now I just get them maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay. All right, so let me just cover that. I did a video on it. You should check it out. There's a remedy there. I don't think that's going to be the long-term solution for you. It might be a short-term solution. You want to kind of look at the whole picture. I do know once you start doing the keto and especially intermittent fasting together and do it like I instruct people, I really think your bladder infections are going to go way down. And of course, I forgot to give the disclaimer to everyone. All the information I'm telling you is not meant to diagnose you or give you any treatments for medical diseases. So this is just for your entertainment, okay? Okay, coming right back to the bladder question, I think what happens when you start running your body on ketones and off the sugar, which the bacteria live on and love, the chance of getting infections or the rate of getting infections go way, 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 way down, because these bacteria, especially in the bladder, love sugar. They love it. So right there, that's going to actually reduce everything. And the pH is going to change within your urine to the point where you're going to make an environment in your bladder that's going to be very, very hard for those microbes to live. I think every single day you should be consuming a good amount of fermented vegetable sauerkraut. That would be really important. You need to be doing the apple cider vinegar, and then get right on that keto and the intermittent fasting, and that's going to eventually clear things up to the point where it's stable and you don't keep getting them over and over and over again. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and let us know how you do, okay? Good question, though. Hey, David, you had a question from Texas, blood work. You had some blood work done.
Yes, I'm trying to find out whether or not it's normal when you're losing a lot of weight from lab work to lab work for your numbers to go up. Cholesterol goes up and triglycerides go up. And I had one other question that I wanted to ask real quick about your new style of Cal Shake. So those are my two questions.
Okay, good. Let's ask about the new style of Cal Shake. Are you talking about the one that you're making in the blender? Or
the one that you had mentioned with your last Skype interview that you're starting to add coconut oil with
good.
it.
Great, yeah. So let's talk about that one first. So the coconut oil actually adds some fat to your Kale shake, just like you would add olive oil to a salad. When you add fat, there's certain things in the salad, and this is, people don't realize that. People think that the vitamins, the nutrients in salad and vegetables are purely water soluble. A lot of them are, but some aren't, especially the carotenoids. Those are all like pre-vitaminated. Those are fat soluble. So if you add a little coconut oil, you'll start extracting more carotenoids. Now, there's over 600 different carotenoids. Lutein is one of them, and there's a lot of other ones which are really necessary for the vision and the brain, not to mention the prostate and a lot of other things. So you can extract more of these nutrients out of your vegetables and kale if you add a little coconut oil, just like a teaspoon, and you'll be fine. So that's just something new that I started doing, and I'm seeing the benefits, and I highly recommend it. Now, the other question is with your blood work. Yes, you are going to see cholesterol going up simply because you're actually losing fat from your fat cells. And if you look at what is in a fat cell, triglycerides and cholesterol, that's what's in your fat cell. So how is it going to come out? It has to come out through it's going to come out through the liver, it's going to come out through the blood, and it's going to come out through your digestive system. And so, yes, it's going to increase because you're mobilizing your fat, but then it's going to come down. As long as you're not eating the sugar and you do this over a period of a time, you're going to see it's going to come up and it's going to come down. So you really want to watch those 4 videos that I have on cholesterol and LDL to really understand the picture, because I spent a long time to try to consolidate. Even one of the videos, I think it was video 4, I spent like at least 12 hours preparing for that one video to consolidate the information so you can get it in easy chunks. Because in order to explain something, you have to understand it very well and be able to give the simple version of it. And that's what I did. So that's what I would do. And let's say, for example, you do that over a longer period of time and it's still not coming down. There's a rare chance that you might have a genetic cholesterol issue. And if that's the case, then you need to modify it a little bit. But still, I have people with genetic issues that eventually bring it down by doing keto intermittent fasting. So your triglycerides are probably the most important thing to judge everything by, because that's like, once you run through that and you do low carb, those should come down. All right? Another good question, Dave. Hey, Bill, you're from Vermont. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yes, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is, I got a recent eye doctor, got a high ocular pressure, but it's not glaucoma. And I watched your video on the glaucoma with the AC carbamide. Mm-hmm. And My question is, hypothetically, if you had high ocular pressure, how would you take that?
You mean how would I take the AC carbamide?
Yeah, 'cause, there's not much information on the web on it.
Oh, right. Okay. So let me answer that question. There's a company called Standard Process, and I personally, I'm not using it now because I don't have my clinic. It's usually a product that you would get if you had a clinic and you're working with patients one-on-one. It's not really an online thing. However, you can find a lot of their products online. It's a great company. I've been to the farm where they grow all their food 6 times. It's right in Palmyra, Wisconsin, about an hour away from where I grew up. So I really love that company. And they have a product called AC Carbamide, which is, carbamide is kind of a filtered version of urea. And urea is a very permeable substance, and it's used in a lot of skin creams and even supplements. But that one I would take 3 times a day to help increase the fluid that's being exchanged out of the eye. So AC carbamide you're not going to find a lot of research simply because you can't make claims with a lot of nutritional products. So there's no one out there that's going to start talking about what it really does, simply because if you're selling it and you're making a claim, you're going to get in trouble. So I can make a claim because I'm not selling it. You can go get it somewhere. So that's really why you're not seeing a lot of stuff out there. But the whole thing with me is I like, try it out, see if it works for you. That way I'm not saying it's going to cure you, but I've seen some good results with a lot of other people. In addition to the same time, start doing, the eating plan that you need to do to ultimately correct it, because the AC carbamide is really a kind of a temporary fix until you can really clean up the deeper issues. But if you just look up the data on glaucoma, you're not going to find a lot of great stuff medically either. I mean, they don't have a lot of solutions. They don't even know what the cause is. So that's what you're going to run into too. So it's a big old mystery. But if you just go with the natural way, you're going to find some great changes, especially with AC carbamide, and not see any side effects that I've ever seen. But it's good for the kidney as well. Thanks, Bill. Hey, Debbie, you had a question about insulin. You're from New Jersey. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I have an adrenal body type, so I am overweight and I hold belly fat, and I am a type 2 diabetic that's insulin resistant. Last year when I had my blood work done, my A1C was 12. So what they did was they put me on long-acting insulin. And after watching all of your videos and everything, I decided to go keto at the beginning of September. I understand everything that I have to do, and my blood sugars reacted beautifully. At first, they dropped down 87 to 120. It was amazing. And I got a little nervous that they were so low, so I dropped my insulin because I figured that's how it's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. But once I did that, everything spiked back up, and now no matter what I do, it stays between 130 and 180 no matter how I eat. So my first... and carbs, I'm so sensitive, I can't even have like a section of an orange, it'll just spike. So my first question is, how do you possibly lose weight when long-acting insulin is in your body? Because my understanding is if insulin's present, fat can't burn. And the second one is, if I'm doing the keto and the intermittent fasting, I guess keto bombs are out unless you're eating them with your meal.
Mm-hmm. Very good questions. The question I have for you, how long have you been a diabetic technically?
Well, I was probably diagnosed about 20 years ago.
Okay.
So they started with metformin, and then they added and my numbers were like in the 6s, the 7s, and then all of a sudden everything got out of control, jumped to a 12. That's why they put me on insulin.
Okay. So there's one test that I would get, Debbie, and it's called a fasting insulin test. Have you ever taken that before?
I think so. It's where you go in and it's like a 5 or 6 hour test, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
It's different than a fasting blood sugar. It's a fasting insulin test.
Right.
It would be very interesting to see what's happening to your insulin when it's fasting, because here they're giving you your type 2, right? Which type 2 typically has too much insulin, right? That's what it is. So now they put you on insulin. So why would they put you on the insulin? Obviously, it's probably too low. So you could be going over to a type 1 and not even knowing it.
Oh.
And that's my thought on that. So I'm going to put you on hold. You can still hear me, but I can't hear you, but let me just talk about this because this is important. You started September, I guess that would be of this month, beginning of this month. So it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a good amount of time. If you're a diabetic for 20 years and you're on insulin, you're at a stage where it's gonna be a while. I would stick to it, and I would approach this as a pilot program where you're going to go really slow on the, get with your doctor and work with them to adjust the dosage, but the dosage needs to be adjusted so low that, and so gradually over time, so your body can start to heal and fix it. Because really, ultimately, what we want to do is fix the insulin resistance. So now, the need for insulin goes down so you can take less and less insulin. The fact that you went in this program and you had great change means you need to go in this program, but it's going to be a while to heal this situation. So, of course, I have a lot of videos on insulin resistance. You're going to have to be probably adding supplements and getting the eating and doing the intermittent fasting. The keto bombs must be consumed with a meal. If you have a hard time with that, that just tells us that you're really insulin resistant because you can't go from one meal to the next. But yeah, the goal is to get you off the insulin. That's our first goal, okay? And that could take months. It could take 6 months. It could take a little longer. But I think you're on the right track. Keep building up the potassium reserve, which again takes a while. It takes a while. You just can't do it overnight. And I think you're up against the duration of how long you had this, and you're just going to have to ride it out and give it more time before your body even is going to adjust back and come back to where it needs to be, and then also add the exercise in there as well. All right, Debbie? Thanks. All right, so now we have someone from Pennsylvania. I think it's Milan? Milan. Oh, disappeared. Okay, so let's go to Stephanie from North Carolina. You had a question?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I had started keto about 2 months ago, and I'd done well and was doing good for 2 months. And then out of nowhere, I started having swelling in the front of my neck, like near the thyroid area.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really sick, like just body aches, soreness around the neck for about a week and a half. And I don't know, I felt like it was due to like low potassium or magnesium or something. So I started increasing my carbs, and it went away. So could you tell me if the diet had anything to do with that, or?
Well, typically the swelling usually is either higher levels of estrogen, okay, that could be doing it, or it could be that, believe it or not, the gallbladder and the liver are there to help you convert T4 to T3, and that can actually back you up too. The other thing is minerals. You're going to require more minerals when you do the keto, and like iodine and trace minerals. So I probably would have jumped to start to do more sea minerals, like sea kelp. I think that would be the best thing to consume, and make sure that the food that you're eating is more organic. There's been some data out there that says, oh yeah, if you go low carb, your thyroid is going to suffer. But that's mainly if you go low calorie. If you're getting all the nutrients, you're going to be a lot better. I just did a Skype on some lady recently, actually last week, that all of her thyroid issues, and she had pretty bad thyroid issues, cleared up when she did the keto and the intermittent fasting. So I would just compare what you're doing with the keto and just align it with what I'm talking about in the videos and see what is different. But I'm not really advising go back to the carbs, but those are some things that I would look at. All right, Stephanie? Thanks. Hey, Sandy, you're Tennessee. You're from Tennessee, and you had a question about skin and the keto.
I do.
Oh, great. So what's your question?
Okay, I started the intermittent fasting and the keto diet at the first part of May, and I've done really well with it. I've lost 45 pounds, so I'm happy about that. But along the way, I can't tell you right at the moment exactly when it happened, but it was sudden. My skin just started going crazy, and it was so sudden that it was shocking, and loose and sagging, and I don't know what happened.
So what's your age?
I'm 71.
Okay. And is some of the are you finding that you're losing the weight, and then wherever you're losing weight, you're getting more loose skin than usual?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not sure I'm explaining it well. It did happen very suddenly. I don't know how else to tell you. Otherwise I'm happy. I'm building muscle. Actually, I've built a lot of muscle. So it's just the problem with the sagging skin, and having lost so much weight, I can understand that under normal circumstances.
Right.
But because it was so sudden, I don't get it.
Okay, so can you tell me, was there anything else that occurred just before this sudden change in skin? Stress?
Oh gosh. Did you say stress?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stress in the last few months.
Okay, so I'm just going to put you on, I'm going to hide your voice and so I can talk about that. There's always some trigger that if something occurs suddenly, there's always something behind it. And stress is one big one because it'll spike cortisol, especially if you're over the age of 55 and menopausal. I mean, you start jacking up the adrenal, and all of a sudden you have this destructive nature of cortisol. It breaks down proteins and it turns into sugar. So what I would do whatever you can to eliminate that stress and start to focus on reducing cortisol. So I have the videos on that, and that will include maybe an extra hour of sleep, maybe walking, maybe change of environment, maybe supplements to support the adrenal itself. Those are the things that you really ultimately need to do to get that skin back. The other thing with losing weight, some people have a combination of not just fat, but they have a lot of atrophy. And so when they lose weight, it looks even somewhat worse because you're getting rid of some of the stuff, but then now it's showing up even more with atrophy. And the thing that they have to realize that atrophy is a pretty serious condition, almost equivalent to osteoporosis. It's not a little thing. You're actually losing muscle fibers, okay? They're gone. So you have strands of connective tissue in there, you have a lot of inflammation. So you can heal it, but the expectations sometimes are, the person's frustrated because it's not going away fast enough. So I would, for someone with atrophy, and they're on a great exercise program and they're recovering and they're eating right, they're going to have to give it like up to probably quite a few months, if not some years, to fully get that back, to really get it back 100%. But it's just, don't get frustrated if it takes longer than you would like, because it's really a more advanced situation that you just have to realize it's not a little thing, okay? All right. Hey, Chris, you're from New York. You had a question about your keto related to workouts.
Yes, doctor. So I actually just started keto about 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm absolutely amazed with the results that I get. I'm an athlete. I deal primarily in powerlifting sport, and I wanted to try keto to see how it would affect my diet, and I've seen no real negative ramifications from my training. My question for you actually applies to, I guess, some of the days where we feel like we need a little bit of a kick. So I consume good quality pre-workouts and BCAAs. So I was wondering, since I started incorporating the intermittent fasting, I do a 24 window. Is there any possibility of some sort of negative ramifications from consuming a pre-workout or, consuming BCAAs during the workout? Because I just ordered your wheatgrass juice powder and electrolyte powder, and I was seeing some people saying that those are really good alternatives as opposed to drinking pre-workouts and BCAAs. So I was wondering what your take on this whole
It's a
thing is.
really good question, Chris, so let me answer that. Branch amino acids, unfortunately, are glycemic, okay? So they don't turn into ketones, they turn into glucose. I think a little bit might be okay, but here's the thing that what you might want to try. If you're ordering the wheatgrass juice, it's almost like a type of healthy coffee because it will perk you up combined with electrolytes. I think that will probably solve it. The other thing that I would look at is D-ribose. D-ribose is believe it or not, it's a low glycemic type of sugar molecule that is really good for recovery of muscle, skeletal and cardiovascular and cardio muscle. So here you are, if you're taking branch amino acids to give your muscles a chance to recover, I would go another route and take D-ribose. You could take some of those branch amino acids at the meal, and I do know what you're saying though, because if you go from keto and you're doing some serious powerlifting, your muscles, it's going to take a while for you really to adapt to the point where your energy doesn't drop down when you work out. One thing, I'm glad that you're not taking any type of like caffeine type stimulants because that'll bring you up, but it's kind of artificially covering what's going on, so that's good. But it's a transition period where you're into a keto adaptation where you basically can easily and quickly shift over, tap into the stored glycogen reserve, and then go right back into the fat burning. So that's really what you're doing when you're doing powerlifting, and that's going to probably take some more months to achieve that. But I would do more potassium and those minerals with the combination of wheatgrass right before the workout. That'll kick it up really a notch, and maybe even throw it into a kale shake, just kale and just a little bit of berries. Try those things out instead of the branch amino acids, because if you look that up, they will spike insulin a little bit. That's the problem that we're trying to avoid. All right? Thanks, Chris. Hey, Teresa, you're from Long Beach, and you have a question about a fatty liver?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
I was just diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and some people tell me, oh, it's nothing really to worry about, I'll be okay, that, I don't really need to do anything different, but from what I read on the videos and I see, there is things that I need to do, and other than just changing my diet and stuff. But I was wanting to know, is there any way you could make a video or of some sort for like a 7-day health plan for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for fatty liver disease, or what is it that I need to do?
Did you see?
I'm not good with fruits and vegetables.
Oh, okay. So did you see any of my videos yet on fatty liver?
I did see some, and I drank some of the apple cider the other day.
Yeah.
And but it took me all day to finish the whole water.
Okay, got it.
I'm not much of a water drinker. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got it done.
All right. Well, let me just kind of give you some data on that. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It is an important thing to get rid of, and you can get rid of the fatty liver, but you're not going to be able to get rid of it without doing vegetables. That's the problem. I don't recommend doing fruit. It's too high in sugar, but you're going to have to find some way of injecting these vegetables in your body, either eating them or with a syringe. I'm just kidding. But I think that I would highly recommend maybe camouflaging the vegetables into a shake, and I would do a kale shake. And if you had to add more berries to it and some type of maybe xylitol or something to sweeten it, or maybe even chocolate, and drink that. Start small and then gradually increase it. That's really what you're going to have to do if you want a fatty liver. I mean, to go away. The other thing that you should probably order online is something called choline. Get it in a powder. Mix that in my electrolyte drink. That way it'll cover the taste. You drink that too. That is another B vitamin that will help strip off fat off the liver, in addition to the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. The other thing that's really, really important for you is the intermittent fasting. So you're going to have to bite the bullet to the point where you're eating 2 meals a day, maybe even 1, but just go to 2, work up to 2. And you're going to see your fatty liver improve over time. But the problem over time is you're going to lose function if you don't fix it, and you're going to have other issues, not just with weight gain, but with higher level of insulin resistance and prediabetes if you have a fatty liver. All right? So bite the bullet. I'm sorry, you're going to have to eat the vegetables. Okay, Franklin, you're from Iowa. Go ahead. You had a question about keto.
Yes, well, actually not keto. I'm on keto 6 months ever since I discovered your webpage and your YouTube because of my rashes in the skin and all that. Then I started keto. And right now it's been 6 months. I'm in intermittent for 3 months already with all the good fats and all, no carbs, no sugar, no fruits, just sometimes bulletproof coffee. But very recently, 3 weeks ago, I had to go surgery to remove my appendix. I'm not going to start blaming here nobody, but in my follow-up appointment, it was discovered that it wasn't the appendix, it was the gallbladder. So, but then I went immediately to your YouTube and I searched Dr. Berg and gallbladder, and I got all the information that you have there. And specifically, the one that went to my heart is things you need to know before you remove your gallbladder, and I agree 100% with you. You did not scare anyone, but I take it very, very, very hard to my heart what you said, and it's an incredible information. I haven't been able to eat any raw vegetables for 3 weeks now because of the operation, and no fats. So I'm missing my eggs and my bacon. I sent you an email. You said ox bile, which I've been on it too. I just ordered more. But yesterday, for the first time, I made juice with beet and cucumber, celery, a pear, an apple, whatnot. I got so bloated with that juice. And I make sure that I didn't get any fiber in the juice. So even with the ox bile, I'm taking now enzymes, not able to perhaps do well with the gallbladder. Yesterday I had the ultrasound, so I don't know yet whether I have stones or not. I still have to see the doctor. Do you think that it would be good for me to stop eating, I think bacon and eggs, which I'm missing already tremendously?
Okay. Well, so here's the data on that. If you take a look at what really destroys the gallbladder is not the saturated fats, because saturated fats trigger bile. It's the addition of the carbs with the saturated fats that mess you up. It's the addition of the sugar with the carbs that mess you up. Even the drink you said, when you add the pear and the apple, that's going to mess you up right there because it's going to spike insulin. So you spike insulin and you start to create cholesterol, and then the cholesterol can build up into stones. So as long as you keep your sugars 0 and your carbs low, and you're doing vegetable carbs without the fruit, you can get away with the saturated fats. Now, of course, I'm not saying go drink a big cup of grease, of bacon grease. In fact, if you take bacon and you fry it up and you take the grease out and you dampen it out, there's not actually as much fat on bacon as you think. It's all in the pan. There's like tons of, you're not drinking that fat. It's just like there's probably more fat in a hamburger than there is in bacon because you're frying it off. So it's not as much, it's high in fat as you think. Because I analyzed the numbers on it because I was like trying to get my fats higher, and I was like, there's not enough fat in this bacon. And you're not going to eat it raw, of course. So anyway, that's one thing. And the eggs, it's not going to be a problem either because the yolk has lecithin, which counters the fat. It's the carbs with the proteins or fats that are messing you up. So that's what I would look at. The other thing is that you want to have, I would do probably every single day, a kale shake, put lemon in it, maybe some wheatgrass juice powder, and then drink that. And then at the end of each meal, that's when you take the gallbladder formula, because that has in it not just the bile salts, that has in it betaine hydrochloride, which helps the stomach. It has enzymes, pancreatic enzymes. It has things to thin the bile. It has stone root to dissolve a stone. So those are all things that I would look at. The problem with people doing keto and ending up with a worse gallbladder issue is if they're doing all this fat without any vegetables. Maybe they have to adjust the amount of and the fat I'm talking about is the oils, or maybe even coconut oil. So adjust those, but when you're actually having the bacon, the egg, that's not going to be the problem. Okay, maybe too much cheese can do it, but get the data from what's going on in your gallbladder, see if there's stones, see what's going on, see if it's sluggish. If there's still a problem, then have them do a functional gallbladder test where they can measure the function of the gallbladder, not just statically if there's a stone in there or something like that. All right? Good question. Hey, Sally, you're from West Virginia. You had a question.
Yes, I do. I'm fairly new, a couple of months on here. Lost 20-some pounds.
Wow. Good.
Right now I'm bedfast because of a back problem. But I'm having a problem. I'm not real computer savvy, so I'm having trouble finding where to go to get your products. And I want to know what I need to get to help me out. I lost my gallbladder several years ago, and I don't know if that makes a difference in my diet or not, but I need to know what to get and where to start out with your products to help me out.
Okay.
I'm kind of at a standstill right now.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but let's help you out. So first of all, we need to find out where the gallbladder went to get it back so that we can sew it back and put it back there. No, I'm just kidding. You can't do that. It's gone. One thing that I would start with is the digest formula and the gallbladder formula. Get those two and just take the gallbladder right after the meal and the digest before the meal. I think that would be a good start for you. I would also get the book off the website. If you go to drberg.com, you can call the office as well and get that information. My number is all over the place. You can find it. Just do a search, or you're looking down below on this YouTube or Facebook. It's down there as well. But here's the thing. If you get the book, it comes with a companion guide. I would, if I were you, start with the companion guide. It's a real short little booklet that you can read in an hour that gives you the basics of what you need. So that way you can focus on the basics, the simple part of it. And then if you can go to my website, I have a little mini course you can take. It's a complimentary course. It's all the way to the right of the website under Extra. It says Keto. You can just watch that. It's a series of quick videos. Watch that. Get the basics. That's what you really need right now. And then from there you can go from there. But I think you probably benefit calling the office, talk to my health coach that's trained, and just sort out maybe what you would need based on your specific problems, because everyone needs a little bit of different things. So that's what I would do. I'd call the office. Thanks, Sally. Hey, Aaron, you're from Ohio. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yes, Dr. Berg. Thank you. Yes, I was calling because I happen to notice lately, it seems more so than typical, that my hair falling out. I noticed it on the inside of my ball cap. A good example, last night I was just sitting in the chair getting ready for bed and kind of like brushing through my hair for whatever reason, and I noticed a couple, 2, 3, 5 strands of hair just kind of like on my hand. I was like, what the heck is this? And I've been on keto now for about going on 6 months. I lost 35 pounds with it, and I've kind of tweaked my diet here and there, generally trying different foods to keep it fresh. And more recently, because I've had trouble keeping my ketone numbers higher throughout the day, because I test my ketone and blood sugar levels with one of those testers, I forget what the name of it is. And so I kind of keep a real good track and an eye on where I'm at throughout the day and every morning. And I noticed that my ketone levels are fairly low when I wake up, and I'm very good about keeping my carbs low and moderate. Now, more recently, I was eating a lot of protein, but now I've scaled that back. I noticed that was causing me to have a little bit higher blood sugars in the mornings. But I've been consuming a lot more fat, particularly coconut oil, MCT oil, grass-fed butter in teas. And could that have anything to do with this, or do you have any suggestions? I mean,
Yeah.
I've broken off of caffeine because I heard cortisol and the different things the stress can trigger things like that. So I've taken that out of the diet, out of the picture.
What's your blood sugars run?
On a good day, I've got it down into 80s. A good example this morning, it was 91 first thing waking up, and then a 0.3 ketone.
Okay.
I can't seem to get much lower. I mean, my blood sugars are always generally in the 90s. After a meal, they might go up to 125. I see sometimes.
Yeah, that's normal. Okay, good. So let's talk about that, Aaron. I think, first of all, realize that the longer you do the ketone diet, your ketones and your urine are going to go down, 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 down. So that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're burning ketones. They're not being eliminated through the urine. So I wouldn't base your success on that. In fact, you want to get to the point where you have no more ketones in urine because they're all burned up. You're very efficient. The main thing is look at these other factors. Is your stomach going down? Do you feel better? But see, the fact that the hairs, you're losing hair tells me that you're missing some nutrient. I would go with the trace minerals. Get a plant base first, but the trace minerals are the no-brainer because that's usually what's missing in the diet. And as you switch over to keto, you require more of certain nutrients, and therefore that could be a reason why you're losing hair. There is a hair formula I have that it doesn't just have trace minerals, it has a bunch of other things, so that could help you probably a little more than just getting my trace minerals because it has things for if you have high strong testosterone, or maybe you need certain B vitamins and biotin or collagen. It's more of a comprehensive thing. So I think I would probably go with that route. But I would also make sure that instead of going up with the fat, go with some fat, but go up with more vegetables. Okay, so keep those high, and keep the protein at a moderate amount. But I think the biggest thing is that you're missing some nutrient right now, and the hair is a good indication of that. It's probably going to be trace minerals. Thanks, Aaron. Okay, Clara, you are calling from New York. You had a question.
Yes, Dr. Berg. Now, I've been on a keto diet and also intermittent fasting for a month and a half, and I already lost 19 pounds.
Wow.
So, like, my thing is, like the vegetables, they just take too much time to eat. And I've been trying to do, like 7 cups to 10 cups. But but what I'm doing, I'm juicing them. So I blend them, and then I add nutritional yeast, and then your electrolyte powder works wonders. I put half in it because it's too sweet for me. Now, my question is, like, if and then also too, I've been fasting like between 16 to 22 hours.
Uh-huh.
And so can the green juice disturb the fast if I take it, like, drink it in the morning?
I think honestly, if you make sure you don't add any other things in it, like apple or carrot, I think it's not a bad idea to do that, okay? Because you're already fasting for 22 hours, so if you add that in there, I think I would recommend that. I think it would be good because that way you're getting your greens. Will it break the fast? Only maybe a little bit, and it'll a lot if you add any type of sweet things in there. So I think the way you're doing is fine. Some people also ask, what about the wheatgrass juice powder? First of all, the carbs on that, or the sugar carbs, are so low that in the scoop that you're consuming, it's like such a minor point, it's not going to even phase anything. But when you're actually doing what you're doing, where I think you said you're putting the fiber in there too, it's a little bit more, but I think it's going to be a minor point. So, but I do understand a lot of people don't like to eat vegetables, so I do the kale shake every other day in the morning, so it seems to not break my fast, and I'm doing fine. Of course, I'm not adding anything else in there. All right, good question. Hey, Margie, you're from Pennsylvania. Go ahead, you had a question.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I take magnesium, and on the bottle it says it's 350 milligrams, which is a half a teaspoon daily, and I also do the apple cider vinegar. Is that enough, or how many times a day, I guess I want to know, should I do those two things?
Well, how many, you said you're doing how many scoops of magnesium?
Just a half a on the bottle it says a half a teaspoon daily, which is 350 milligrams.
And is that, are you taking magnesium citrate or calcium
Yes.
magnesium? Okay. And are you doing any type of vegetables? Like what's the quantity of cups of vegetables are you doing per day?
I do vegetables, but not daily, and I'm also on intermittent diet. But I haven't lost any. I've been on intermittent diet for about 6 months, but I haven't really lost any weight.
Okay. Well, one thing you probably do is call the office to find out why you're not losing weight. But for your magnesium question, you need about 460 to 490 milligrams a day. So I recommend getting some of that from vegetables, and if you want to add some more, that's fine. I like the fact that you're doing magnesium citrate. That's a really smart thing because the citrates also have a lot of other benefits for preventing kidney stones and gout. But the other mineral that you want to focus on is potassium, because potassium you need, think about it, you need 4,700 milligrams. Magnesium you need 460 milligrams. So you need a little bit of magnesium, you need a lot of potassium. So the question is, why are you doing magnesium and not potassium? That's the big question. So that's what I would recommend. Thanks, Margie. Hey, Heather, you had a question from California.
Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Hi,
Happy
good.
Friday from early morning, California.
Yeah.
I started gaining weight at 13 years of age, and I think right as my hormones hit, I think I realized I like genetics of insulin resistance, and I had been dieting off and on. Anyway, I found the ketogenic diet 3 years ago, and I've been doing it for 3 years. I lost 80 pounds, and it literally has changed my life. I thank God for it.
Wow.
But I love you and Karen's videos on food. And I have a question with regards to your bread recipe.
Mm-hmm.
The arrowroot powder or arrowroot flour that you use. When I looked it up, because I'm one of those MyFitnessPal kind of girls, just for my own, I guess it's about my control freak personality. But it had 100 grams of carbohydrates for that portion that you guys use in it, and that just seems extremely high to me. So I'm wondering what your guys' thought process on it is, and then if there's any alternatives, because I really do try to keep my carbohydrates under, I wouldn't say traditional, but 20 to 25 a day.
Yeah, so that's a really good question that comes up. That would be for the entire loaf of bread. Okay, it's not for serving size.
Okay.
So.
Oh no, I understand. Yeah. The 100 gram, but broken down, even if you broke it down, I mean that still seems, I don't know. For me, it seemed a bit high. So I just didn't know if there was like an alternative or something. that you guys recommended.
So here's the thing with the bread. To make bread taste good, oh my gosh, it has been quite the chemistry experiment. And without that one ingredient, it's like, I mean, you probably made the bread and taste what it tastes like. It's like the most incredible bread. It's like even better than regular bread. It's just amazing. So if you're just doing a little piece once a day, you're going to be even below the minimum carb. You're going to be probably doing maybe 10 carbs from that a day, because you're allowed 20 to even 50 grams. So that's really why we're recommending for certain people occasionally that just have to have bread. We don't have it often, and I have not found another ingredient that matches that one to really put everything together. We're still looking, we're going to experiment, but it's a very good point, and it's one of those things that if you're carb sensitive, we don't want you making that bread. But for those people that are in ketosis and they can afford a little bit more carb, that would be the thing to do, because it's pretty healthy bread. But again, 100 carbs, that's way too much. That would eat if you had the whole loaf, but if you had a very small amount, it probably would not affect you too much, as long as you added a lot of butter to it. Okay, great question, Heather, thanks. Hey, Ann, you had a question from North Carolina. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
You kind of answered my question, I think, with a previous caller, but I have your wheatgrass supplement, your electrolyte supplement, and I was wondering if it's okay to take those when you're in your fast.
Got it. Good question. Yeah, in fact, there's not going to be a problem at all. You can take the potassium and the wheatgrass during the fast on an empty stomach. It is not going to have any amount of significant carbs or sugars to raise your insulin at all. And it probably will give you a boost of energy because especially the combination is pretty powerful, and also the wheatgrass, you're getting so much nutrition. I just did a test and I found there's actually B12 in there, so that's going to actually help you. I'm going to do another test on the wheatgrass and a comparison with other brands just to show people. I'm going to do this on the phytonutrients, the carotenoids, the flavonoids, and the chlorophyll, so I can show people the massive amount of additional phytonutrients that you're getting compared to other things, especially like a wheatgrass powder versus a wheatgrass juice powder. So I'll share that with everyone once I get it. But yeah, it's not going to spike at all. All right? Thank you so much for calling in. Hey guys, you guys had some great questions. I really appreciate it. We're going to resume next week on Friday. Watch my videos in the morning because we're going to release it every morning, 2 videos in the morning. So thank you and have a great weekend.